She threw my suitcase on the front lawn and called me trailer trash. 5 years later, she's coming back. This story begins on the manicured lawn of a $3 million estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, where my Louis Vuitton suitcase, the first luxury item I'd ever owned, lay scattered among sprinklers and rose bushes. Behind me, the mahogany front door slammed shut with the finality of a judge's gavel, sealing my fate as the daughter-in-law who didn't belong. My name is Sophia Martinez, and I learned the hardest lesson money can't teach, that in America, class isn't just about wealth, it's about who gets to decide your worth. Standing there in my Target dress on that perfectly manicured lawn, watching my belongings soak in the morning dew, I made a promise that would change everything. I would never again let anyone make me feel small because of where I came from. My story starts in a 2-bedroom apartment above Martinez Auto Repair in East LA, where the smell of motor oil mixed with my mother's arroz con pollo every evening. My father, Miguel, worked 16-hour days fixing cars with hands that were permanently stained with grease. My mother, Carmen, cleaned office buildings downtown from midnight to 6 a.m., then came home to make breakfast before we went to school. "Mija," she would say, braiding my hair before school, "education is the only ladder that can't be pulled out from under you." But ladders cost money we didn't have. While my classmates at Lincoln High got cars for their 16th birthdays, I got a job at Denny's. While they planned college visits, I calculated how many double shifts it would take to afford community college textbooks. The divide was everywhere. School fundraisers where other families wrote checks for $500, while mine contributed $20. Class trips I couldn't afford. Designer clothes that marked social hierarchy as clearly as military stripes. "Why can't we just buy the name-brand cereal like everyone else?" I asked my mother once, embarrassed by our generic boxes. "Because every dollar counts toward your future," she replied, adding another $1 to the coffee can labeled Sophia's College Fund. The scholarship to USC was a miracle. Partial academic, partial need-based. But partial meant I still owed $30,000 per year. The coffee can held $3,847. So I did what working-class kids do. I worked. Mornings at a campus coffee shop, afternoons studying business administration, nights waiting tables at an upscale restaurant in Beverly Hills. 4 hours of sleep became normal. Ramen noodles became cuisine. My uniform at Giorgio's restaurant was simple: black dress, black shoes, invisible ambition. I served $200 meals to people who spent more on wine than my family made in a week, perfecting the art of being simultaneously present and invisible, the service industry paradox. It was at Giorgio's that I met Daniel Whitmore III. Daniel was different from the usual clientele. While most customers treated servers like furniture with legs, he actually looked at me when ordering, said please and thank you, asked about my studies when the restaurant was slow. He was old money, the kind that whispers rather than shouts. His family owned Whitmore Industries, a manufacturing empire built by his great-grandfather in the 1920s. Trust fund, Ivy League education, summer home in the Hamptons, everything I wasn't. But somehow, impossibly, he saw something in the waitress with grease under her nails and dreams bigger than her bank account. Our first date was coffee after my shift, me still in my uniform, him in a suit that probably cost more than my semester tuition. I expected judgment. Instead, he listened, really listened, when I talked about my dreams of starting my own business, my parents' sacrifices, my determination to break generational poverty. "You're remarkable," he said. And for the first time, I believed someone from his world might actually see mine as valuable. The relationship was a fairy tale that felt too good to be true. Daniel introduced me to wine tastings where I learned to hide my preference for beer, theater performances where I Googled plot summaries beforehand, charity galas where my Macy's dress felt like armor in a room full of couture. His friends were polite but distant. I was Daniel's girlfriend. Interesting for its novelty, not its substance. But Daniel seemed genuinely proud, introducing me to everyone as Anu Fi. Sophia, the brilliant business student who's going to revolutionize the hospitality industry. The proposal came during my senior year, ring presented over dinner at Giorgio's, the same restaurant where we met. It was romantic, thoughtful, perfect. I should have paid more attention to the fact that his mother wasn't there to celebrate. Eleanor Whitmore was everything I'd imagined old money matriarchy would be. Perfectly coiffed gray hair, pearls that probably cost more than my father's car, and a smile that could freeze champagne. Our first meeting was at the Whitmore estate for Sunday brunch, a casual family gathering that required me to buy my first designer dress. The house was overwhelming. Marble foyers, crystal chandeliers, oil paintings of stern-faced ancestors who seemed to judge my $200 Target heels. I'd grown up in 900 square feet. Their foyer was bigger than my childhood home. "So, Sophia," Eleanor said over Eggs Benedict I was too nervous to eat. "Daniel tells me you're in school. That's lovely. What does your father do?" "He owns an auto repair shop," I replied, trying to inject pride into words that felt suddenly inadequate. "How entrepreneurial." Her smile never wavered, but something shifted in her eyes. "And your mother?" "She's a cleaning professional." I couldn't bring myself to say janitor in that pristine dining room. The questions continued, each one carefully crafted to highlight everything I wasn't. No, my family didn't belong to a country club. No, I hadn't studied abroad. No, we didn't have a second home. "It must be so different for you," Eleanor said finally, "entering our world." Our world. As if Daniel and I didn't share the same one. The engagement party was held at their country club, where I smiled through introductions to family friends who praised Daniel for being so charitable and so open-minded in his choice of bride. Charitable, as if loving me was an act of benevolence rather than recognition of worth. But I endured it because Daniel stood by me, his arm around my waist like a shield against their subtle cuts. The wedding planning revealed the depths of Eleanor's disapproval. Every suggestion I made was wrong, too flashy, too ethnic, too common. The flowers I wanted were gaudy. The music was inappropriate. Even my choice of maid of honor, my cousin Maria, a nurse, was questioned. "Perhaps someone more aligned with your new social circle?" Eleanor suggested. I should have walked away then, should have recognized that she saw my marriage to her son not as love, but as contamination of bloodline. Daniel and I married in a ceremony that felt more like Eleanor's vision than our own. The guest list was 90% Whitmore family and friends, 10% mine. My parents, proud and uncomfortable in their rented formal wear, sat in the back like afterthoughts. We moved into the estate's guest house, a temporary arrangement, while we found our own place. But house hunting revealed another layer of control. Eleanor had opinions about every neighborhood, every property, every decision. Nothing was ever quite right. Meanwhile, I graduated summa cum laude with my business degree and started applying for entry-level positions at marketing firms and startups. My resume was strong, my interviews went well, but Eleanor's commentary was constant. "Why work at all? Daniel provides well. You should focus on being a proper wife." Proper wife. The phrase made my skin crawl. When I landed a position at a boutique marketing agency, she was horrified. "People will think Daniel can't support his wife." When I suggested we get our own apartment in Manhattan to be closer to my work, she reminded me that family stays together. The breaking point came 8 months into our marriage, when Daniel had to travel to Singapore for 3 weeks on business. I was excited for the promotion opportunity I'd earned, working on a campaign for a major hotel chain. Finally, a chance to prove myself professionally. That's when Eleanor struck. It started small, comments about my career obsession, taking time away from family duties, then escalated to criticism of my clothes, my friends, even the way I spoke to the household staff. "You treat them like equals," she said disapprovingly. "That's not appropriate." I treated them like humans. Apparently, that was the problem. The final confrontation happened on a Tuesday morning. I was getting dressed for work when Eleanor appeared in our bedroom doorway, arms crossed. "I've been patient," she announced, "but this charade has gone on long enough." "What charade?" "You pretending to belong here. You're embarrassing Daniel, embarrassing this family. Last night at the Morrisons' dinner, you used the wrong fork for the salad course. Yesterday, you called the Palmer's daughter by her first name instead of Miss Palmer. You don't understand our world, and you never will." Heat rose in my chest. This is my world too now. I'm Daniel's wife. "You're a waitress who got lucky, but luck runs out." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow felt more violent than shouting. "Daniel deserves better than someone who learned table manners from serving them, someone who speaks properly, understands tradition, can host dinner parties without embarrassing him, someone of his caliber." "Are you asking me to leave?" "I'm telling you to leave, before you drag him down any further." My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed steady. "Daniel loves me. Daniel loves a project, a charity case that makes him feel noble. But charity gets old, Sophia. Eventually he'll realize what everyone else already knows. You don't belong here." She pulled out a check from her purse. $50,000. Take it, disappear, and save everyone the embarrassment of a messy divorce. I stared at the check, at this woman who thought my love could be purchased for the price of a mid-range car. "No." "Excuse me?" I said no. "I'm not leaving my husband for your money." Eleanor's mask finally slipped. "Fine. But you'll leave one way or another. This family didn't build its reputation by accepting mediocrity." When I came home from work that evening, my belongings were packed and waiting in the foyer. "What is this?" I asked Eleanor, who was supervising the staff loading my things into suitcases. "Your things, dear. Since you're clearly unhappy here, I thought I'd help you transition." "You can't throw me out. This is my home too." "Actually, I can. This property is in family trust. Daniel may live here, but I control access. And I'm exercising that control." My hands shook as I called Daniel in Singapore. It was 3 a.m. his time, but he answered immediately. "Sophia, what's wrong?" "Your mother is kicking me out. She's packing my things right now." Long pause. "That can't be right. Let me talk to her." But when Eleanor took the phone, her voice was sugar-sweet. "Daniel, darling, Sophia decided she needed some space. She's staying with friends for a while." I grabbed the phone back. "That's not true. She's throwing me out because she thinks I'm not good enough." "Sophia, calm down," Daniel said, and those 3 words broke something inside me. Calm down, as if my emotions were the problem, not his mother's cruelty. "I'll be home in a week. We'll sort this out then." "A week? Daniel, I need you now. Just stay at a hotel. I'll pay for it. We'll figure this out when I get back." The line went dead. In that moment, I understood that when push came to shove, Daniel would choose the path of least resistance, and that path didn't include defending his wife against his mother. Eleanor smiled triumphantly. "He'll pay for a hotel. How generous. I suppose even trailer trash gets upgraded accommodations when they marry up." Trailer trash. There it was, her real opinion, finally unveiled. I picked up my suitcase with as much dignity as I could muster. "I'll be back." No, dear, Eleanor said, already turning away. You won't. That night, sitting in a Holiday Inn near LAX, I called my parents. My mother cried. My father was quiet for a long time before speaking. Mija, some people will never see your worth, but that doesn't change what you're worth. The hotel room felt like a capsule between worlds. Too fancy for where I came from, too shabby for where I'd been living. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, still wearing the pearls Daniel had given me for our 6-month anniversary. Who was I? The girl from East LA who worked triple shifts to afford textbooks, the USC graduate with business ambitions, the society wife who'd never quite learned the rules, or something entirely different. I made a decision that would change everything. I would become exactly who I was meant to be, without apology or compromise. When Daniel returned from Singapore, I met him at a coffee shop in Manhattan rather than the estate. He looked tired, guilty, and younger than I remembered. Sophia, I'm so sorry about what happened. My mother went too far. I've talked to her. What did she say? That you two had a misunderstanding, that she was trying to help you feel more comfortable by calling me trailer trash and offering me $50,000 to leave you. His face went pale. She wouldn't. She did. And you chose to believe her version over mine. That's not fair. I was halfway around the world. I didn't have all the information. You had all the information you needed. Your wife was being thrown out of her home by your mother, and she needed you to stand up for her. We talked for 2 hours. He apologized, promised things would be different, begged me to come home. And part of me wanted to, the part that still believed love could conquer class, that fairy tales were possible for girls from East LA. But the larger part of me remembered Eleanor's sneer, the packed suitcases, the way trailer trash sounded in her cultured voice. I can't come back, Daniel. What are you saying? I'm saying I deserve better than a husband who needs a week to decide whether to defend me. Sophia, please, I love you. I love you too, but love isn't enough when it doesn't come with respect. I slid my wedding ring across the coffee shop table. He stared at it like it might explode. This is a mistake. No, I said, standing up with more confidence than I felt. Staying would be the mistake. The divorce was swift and brutal. Eleanor had prepared well. Prenups, lawyers, assets carefully sheltered. I left the marriage with what I'd brought in, my education, my work ethic, and my refusal to be broken by people who confused net worth with human worth. But I also left with something else. Crystal clear motivation. Moving back to LA felt like failure at first. My old bedroom in my parents' apartment surrounded by high school trophies and community college textbooks. But my mother's arroz con pollo still tasted like home. And my father's greeting, "Welcome back, mija," held no judgment, only love. I'm 30 years old and sleeping in my childhood bedroom, I told my mother one night. You're 30 years old and free to become whoever you choose, she replied. I threw myself into work with the fury of someone who had something to prove. The marketing agency where I'd worked before the marriage took me back, and I attacked every project like my life depended on it, because it did. Late nights became normal again, but this time by choice rather than necessity. I specialized in hospitality marketing, drawing on my restaurant experience to understand both sides of the service industry. My campaigns helped small hotels compete with chains, family restaurants build loyal customer bases, independent businesses tell their stories authentically. Within 2 years, I was senior account manager. Within 3, I was ready to start my own firm. Martinez Media launched from my parents' garage, just like the tech success stories I'd studied in business school. Except instead of coding, I was crafting campaigns for the businesses that got overlooked by big agencies, immigrant-owned restaurants, family hotels, service companies run by people who understood that every customer mattered because every dollar counted. My first major client was a chain of authentic Mexican restaurants whose owner, Rosa, reminded me of my mother. Traditional agencies had tried to make her concept more mainstream, code for less authentically Mexican. I helped her lean into authenticity, and her revenue increased 40% in the first year. Word spread through networks that traditional marketing firms never accessed. Immigrant business associations, community chambers of commerce, family enterprises that needed someone who understood their values. By my 5th year of business, Martinez Media managed campaigns for over 200 small and medium businesses across California, Nevada, and Arizona. My team of 12 included multilingual specialists, cultural consultants, and people who understood that authenticity wasn't a marketing buzzword. It was survival. The call came on a Tuesday morning in March. My assistant Jessica knocked on my office door, holding the phone with a puzzled expression. "Sophia, there's someone on the line asking about investment opportunities. Says she represents the Whitmore family." My coffee went cold in my hand. "Put her through." "Ms. Martinez, this is Catherine Richardson from Whitmore Industries. Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore would like to schedule a meeting regarding potential partnerships with your firm." Potential partnerships. The irony was so thick I could taste it. What kind of partnerships? Well, Whitmore Industries is looking to revitalize its hospitality division. We understand you have considerable expertise in that sector. Of course they did. My success wasn't exactly a secret. Forbes had featured Martinez Media in their Small Businesses Making Big Impacts issue just 2 months prior. The article mentioned my USC education, my background in the service industry, and my intuitive understanding of authentic hospitality marketing. It didn't mention my brief marriage to a Whitmore heir. "I'll need to check my calendar," I told Catherine. Mrs. Whitmore suggested meeting at the estate in Greenwich. Would this Thursday work? The estate, where my suitcase had been thrown on the lawn, where I'd been called trailer trash, where I'd learned the exact price of my dignity according to old money standards. "Actually," I said, surprising myself, "I have a better idea. Tell Mrs. Whitmore that if she wants to discuss business with Martinez Media, she can come to our offices in Beverly Hills. We have a conference room with an excellent view." Long pause. "I'm not sure Mrs. Whitmore travels for business meetings." "Then I'm not sure we're the right fit. Martinez Media works with clients who value partnership over hierarchy." Let me call you back." 20 minutes later, "Mrs. Whitmore has agreed to meet in Beverly Hills. Thursday at 2 p.m.? "Perfect. I'll have my assistant send the address." I hung up and stared out my window at the Los Angeles skyline, buildings reaching toward desert sky like ambitions made concrete. In 5 years, I'd built something from nothing. Again. Thursday couldn't come fast enough. Eleanor Whitmore walked into my Beverly Hills office like she was touring a zoo exhibit. Her outfit probably cost more than my first car. Her posture suggested she was doing me a tremendous favor by breathing my air. But I wasn't the 25-year-old waitress she remembered. I was wearing a custom Armani suit, my hair professionally styled, my confidence earned through 5 years of proving myself in a business that ate the weak for breakfast. My conference room commanded a view of the Hollywood Hills, walls lined with awards from marketing associations and testimonials from satisfied clients. Photos showed me with the governor at a small business appreciation dinner, speaking at entrepreneurship conferences, accepting recognition for community impact initiatives. "Mrs. Whitmore," I stood to greet her, noting how her eyes quickly scanned the room, cataloging evidence of success she hadn't expected. "Welcome to Martinez Media." "Sophia." She didn't offer her hand. "You've done well for yourself." "Thank you. Please have a seat. Can I offer you water? Coffee?" We have an excellent espresso machine, authentic Italian, imported from a client's family business. She sat carefully, as if my furniture might contaminate her. Water is fine. I poured spring water from a crystal pitcher. Waterford, I noted with internal amusement. The same pattern that had graced her dining room table. So, I began, settling across from her with the confidence of someone who owned every inch of the room. Tell me about Whitmore Industries' hospitality challenges. For the next 20 minutes, she outlined their problem. Hotel properties in secondary markets struggling to compete with boutique chains, revenue down 30% over 3 years, marketing that felt disconnected from target demographics. I took notes, asked intelligent questions, projected exactly the professional competence that had built my business. When she finished, I leaned back in my chair. "I can help you," I said simply. Relief flickered across her face. "Excellent. Our budget allows for, but I have some questions first." Her perfectly plucked eyebrow arched. "Questions? Why now? Why me? Whitmore Industries has worked with major agencies for decades. What changed?" She shifted uncomfortably. "We need someone with your specific expertise." "You mean someone who understands the service industry from the ground up?" "Well, yes. Someone who knows what it feels like to work for tips, to smile through condescension, to be treated as invisible while providing essential services? I suppose. Someone like a former waitress?" Silence stretched between us like a chasm. "Let me be more direct," I continued. 5 years ago, you threw me out of your house and called me trailer trash. You offered me $50,000 to disappear from your son's life because I wasn't good enough for your family's precious reputation. Now you're sitting in my office asking for my help because suddenly my common background is exactly what you need." Eleanor's face went rigid. That was a personal matter. This is business." "Everything is personal, Mrs. Whitmore. The same intuition you despised, the one that comes from growing up working class, is exactly why my campaigns succeed. I understand authenticity because I've lived it. I understand service because I've provided it. I understand dignity because I've had to fight for it." I stood up, walked to the window overlooking the city that had raised me, challenged me, and ultimately rewarded me for refusing to be anything other than exactly who I was. "Here's what I think happened," I said, not turning around. "Whitmore Industries tried the traditional approach, hired prestigious firms that specialize in luxury hospitality. But luxury hospitality is dying, replaced by authentic experiences that make people feel genuinely welcome, rather than merely accommodated. Your hotels are failing because they feel exclusive rather than inclusive, cold rather than warm, more concerned with impressing guests than serving them." I turned back to face her. "You need me because I'm the girl who served your dinner parties. I know what genuine hospitality looks like because I've provided it, and I know what fake hospitality looks like because I've experienced it." Eleanor sat frozen, probably calculating how much swallowing her pride might cost versus how much losing the hospitality division would cost. "Your terms?" she asked finally. $2 million for a comprehensive 18-month campaign, full creative control, direct access to property managers without interference from corporate, and one more thing." "What?" "An apology." "Excuse me? You want my help fixing your broken hospitality business? Then you apologize for breaking my hospitality to your family. You acknowledge that the trailer trash you tried to buy off is exactly the expertise you're now paying premium rates to access." Eleanor's face cycled through emotions like a slot machine. Shock, anger, calculation, and finally something that might have been respect. "You've certainly developed a backbone. I always had one. You just mistook my politeness for weakness." Long silence. Then quietly, I may have been hasty in my judgment. 5 years ago. That's not an apology. Another pause. I apologize for my behavior during your marriage to Daniel. I was protective of family interests and may have expressed myself inappropriately. Inappropriately is one word for it. I sat back down, studying her face. But it's a start. I slid a contract across the table. Standard Martinez Media terms. Read it over, discuss with your board, and let me know. She picked up the contract with hands that only barely trembled. And if we agree to these terms, then Whitmore Industries gets the same thing all my clients get. Marketing that treats every customer like family. Because that's what I learned growing up, that hospitality isn't about impressing people with how much better you are than them. It's about making them feel like they belong. Real class isn't about excluding people. It's about including them so gracefully they never feel excluded. Eleanor stood to leave, pausing at the door. Sophia? Yes? Daniel. Daniel asks about you sometimes. I hope he's happy. Are you? Happy, I mean. I looked around my office, at the awards on the walls and the view of the city that had shaped me, at the business cards scattered across my desk representing clients who trusted me with their dreams. I'm exactly who I was meant to be, I said. Finally, Eleanor signed the contract a week later. The Whitmore Industries campaign became Martinez Media's largest account and our greatest success story. Within 18 months, their hotel revenue increased by 60%, customer satisfaction ratings soared, and hospitality industry publications praised their revolutionary return to authentic service. The campaign's tagline became famous. Real hospitality starts with real heart. But the real victory wasn't professional. It was personal. I'd forced the woman who tried to make me feel worthless to acknowledge my worth in the language she understood best: money and results. 2 years later, Forbes featured me on their cover. From waitress to CEO, how Sophia Martinez built America's fastest-growing hospitality marketing firm. The article mentioned my brief marriage to Daniel Whitmore III, but focused on what mattered: the business I'd built, the clients I'd served, the success I'd earned. Martinez Media now employs 47 people and generates $50 million in annual revenue. We've won awards for both business excellence and community impact. I speak at universities about entrepreneurship, mentor young women from working-class backgrounds, and serve on the board of directors for 3 nonprofit organizations supporting immigrant entrepreneurs. Last month, I bought my parents a house in a neighborhood where they never imagined they could afford to live. My mother cried when I handed her the keys, and my father just hugged me for a long time without saying anything. "You did good," he finally whispered. "You did real good." I still think about Daniel sometimes, wondering if he learned to stand up for what matters, or if he's still choosing the path of least resistance. I hope he found happiness with someone his mother approved of from the beginning, but I don't think about Eleanor anymore, except when her quarterly payment reminders arrive, proving that sometimes the best revenge really is living well and billing appropriately for your expertise. The girl who got thrown off the lawn in Greenwich is gone. In her place stands a woman who owns her own lawn, makes her own rules, and never again mistakes someone else's insecurity for her own inadequacy. So I ask you, when people try to make you feel small because of where you came from, do you shrink to fit their expectations? Or do you grow until they can't ignore your worth? Because sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is refusing to apologize for the journey that made you strong. Would you have accepted Eleanor's apology and her business? Or would you have chosen a different path? What does it mean to you to win on your own terms? Because, darling, class isn't about what fork you use. It's about how you treat people who can't do anything for you.